All right. So today, what I've got is this DBX 286A Mic Preamp Processor. This is kind of an interesting unit because it has a preamp right here, microphone preamp. I'm actually running a standard Beta 58, Shure Beta 58 microphone into the preamp. It's going over here. You got phantom power. You got the high pass filter there. You got the processor bypass right here, and you've got the what is it? This is a little bit of processing here. You got a compressor, you've got your de-esser, you got an enhancer, and an expander gate. It's just kind of an all-in-one sort of like vocal processing unit. This is an older unit. I picked this up out of a studio sale. And it is not working properly. First of all, we got this phantom power light on, and it's not pushed down, so it's just kind of lighting up no matter what. And then we've got a high pass filter switch here. Hello, hello. Okay, so you can hear when I pushed it, it basically cut off everything. So we've got kind of a janky connection there. And then we've got this bypass switch, so I'm going to push that, and you can hear check, 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 check. There, and I'm back. So you see, if I wiggle that little switch, just wiggle, 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 you can see that it makes a connection, then it doesn't, and then it does, and then it doesn't. So it's kind of about, like if you have a bad cable, you can wiggle the connector. You hold the rest of the cable still, and on one end, you wiggle the connector or the cable close to that connector on one end. And if it's okay, then you wiggle the middle of the cable without wiggling the ends, and then you wiggle the other end of the cable, and you kind of figure out where the break is. That's sort of how it's basically how it works for most things, including equipment like this. So if I just wiggle this, you can hear it cut in and out, and so that's no good. So we'll have to figure that out. But I am getting signal all the way through. So number one, as long as I know, what switches to wiggle to get it to work, I can just use it as is. But I'm actually going to try and fix this up. So let's crack it open. And I've already fixed one of these. And I'll show you what I did. And hopefully that fixes this one as well. I think we're just not even going to have to use any solder at all. But if we do, I could show you that too. So let's open it up. First, I am going to unplug it. Definitely don't want to have power running through this thing when you stick your hands in there. The dangerous part is obviously where the 120 volts goes into the unit. And then after that, it converts it down to like 15 volts DC. So it's really not dangerous, beyond that point. But especially right around here, you got to be careful. Don't electrocute yourself. It's no fun. Okay, let's open it up. All right, so I've had to switch microphones because obviously this is turned off now. I am gonna, let's see. So let's just take a look. Here's what it looks like on the inside. Kind of a big circuit board, kind of a big vacant space up here. There's your transformer where it drops it down from 120 volts again. See that I've unplugged this before I touch anything. Very smart. Also, if you see large capacitors, try not to touch the contacts on large capacitors, although this one isn't particularly large. I think I'm totally safe here. Okay, so 120 volts drops down to a smaller AC voltage, and then this little section where you see those large capacitors converts it to a lower DC voltage. Usually with Pro Audio gear, it's like plus and minus, positive and negative 15 volts DC. Anyway, that's so the problem, like we were discussing earlier, I was following my signal flow, right? Signal flow, very important. And it was kind of going through here into the outputs. Now, of course, with the circuit board, that kind of like actual path of where it's going is not as straightforward as from here to there. It kind of goes back and forth through all those components. But our Achilles heel on this seems to be these three switches. Those guys are where I found my my disconnect, my the one, you know, I push it and it just signal just drops out completely. So what I'm going to try is, before I go any farther than taking it this far apart, I'm going to get some cleaner. So we have some contact cleaner, and this is just MG Chemicals contact cleaner. It says for electronics, and then these actually kind of come in two types that I know of. I'm sure there's some more that I don't know of, but two types. There's just the regular, and then there's the kind with some lubricant in it, with silicone. So you want to use this, just regular cleaner, for switches. And then for anything that turns that has a little bit of like knobs, like potentiometers, and faders. Let's see if I got a fader around here. Can I get that down without dropping it? Oh, it's kind of heavy. Faders. Because if you, so for faders and knobs and potentiometers, you want to use with silicone that has a little bit of lubricant in it, along with the contact cleaner. Because if you use just the regular, and you clean up a fader or whatever, you'll be able to push that fader like really fast. Like there's like no resistance at all, and it'll clean out all the grease that's down in there. Whereas if you use the one with a little bit of grease in it, you'll be able to push it smoothly, but it'll still give you a little bit of resistance. Okay, so let's clean these knobs. Now, anytime you're cleaning out, or clean the switches, anytime you're cleaning out something like this, you're going to look, because it's kind of like got a plastic casing, right? And there's the switch actuating. And so we got to get cleaner in there. So how do we do that? Do we, crack it open like an egg, or what do we do? Well, you look for little holes. Usually one or two like really small holes where you can kind of see stuff moving around on the inside, and I can see right in the middle there, that's kind of a hole. And then kind of off to the side here, that looks like I could get some cleaner in through there. So I'm going to take my cleaner. Don't spray this in your eyes. One time I was working on a piece of gear late at night, and I went like this and just hit it, and the spray hit real hard and got, down into the piece of switch that I needed to clean, and then ricocheted out and up into my face, and I went to the hospital and cleaned out my eyes. Because that's what it says to do on the box. It says, extreme danger, don't put this in your face, dummy. But I was okay. Thanks for asking. Alright, so let's put this little nozzle down on that hole, and then give it a squirt, and exercise the switch. Exercise the switch, exercise the switch. Oh, that stinks. Smells like chemicals. Okay, I'm going to put the nozzle on the other one. I'm going to hold it in place with my hand here, and I'm going to turn my face away. Give it a spray. Exercise the switch. Exercise the switch. So we're scraping away any corrosion, because I suspect that what we've got here is a failure to communicate. Which is exactly what it is. Failure to communicate from here to there. But I'm going to exercise this switch.
Okay, so I'm going to do this one. High pass switch that killed our signal. Put the nozzle on top of the thing, give it a spike. Shield my eyes, should be wearing goggles. You see that? You see a little spray come up out of there? That's how you get it in your face, kids. That's how you get that nasty stuff in your face. Go. Exercise. Exercise me. I like it. I played a lot of console video games. I got this. Okay, last one. Oh, let me hit that one more time now that I got things moving around on the inside. Let me hit that other little spot. I feel like I'm playing one of those video games where it's like, tap A as fast as you can to escape the giant's grip. Or whatever. Or you're like one of those arm wrestling games. Okay, should do it. Let's do the last one. Alright, I got two little spots I want to hit. Shield my eyes, look away. Exercising my process bypass switch. And then I will squirt one more spot right here on the switch. Probably mostly air. I don't think I'm running out of juice here. Try to straighten out my can. There we go. Make sure I don't get any cleaner inside my Coke. Don't drink or eat around electronics, kids. When you're using solder or cleaning chemicals. Or, just be careful. Alright. Exercise. Switch. Wiggle.
Okay, so those are cleaned and kind of exercised. So what I'm going to do now, this stuff, this cleaner stuff that I've been using, this dries pretty quickly. You don't want like wet electronics, you know, when you turn it on to test it. I don't want this to be wet. So I'm going to wait for just a moment to make sure that dries 100%. And then we'll switch it back on and see what happens. What I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and test this. So I am going to leave it. I don't want to put the lid on and all of that just yet. I'm going to leave that disassembled. It's okay to partially reassemble stuff like before you test without fully reassembling every single screw and every single piece or whatever, but couple things you want to make sure. Just make sure everything is bolted down nice and solid, especially where the power comes in. And the circuit board is bolted down nice and solid, not going to wiggle. Also, bolting the circuit board to the chassis of the device is kind of important for grounding purposes. So, you know, have at least like this bolt here. If you look closely, you can tell that you see that big trace that goes under that bolt. That trace is hitting that bolt and bolting into the metal of the chassis, and it's providing two things. It's providing a safety ground, and it's also that is going to help us with our interference from like radio frequencies that are trying to get into the piece of gear and get to your signal and make noise and stuff. So that's going to hit this and kind of absorb that and just take it straight to your ground and into the earth. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this back in. Now, super important, super dangerous. This power connector from the wall is going to go in here. Do you see these wires here? From here to here, that's basically going to be an opportunity to stick your finger in a wall outlet. Very dangerous. You see, now they've covered this up with heat shrink, but we do see just a little bit of metal there. Definitely don't want to touch that. And so we got to be real careful around here. Here, not so much, but still, you know, don't just go smashing your hand on that. But I'm going to plug it in. Not, you know, if you ever try anything like this, just be extremely careful. Or maybe I should just say don't try this at home altogether. I'm going to plug it in. Put it down. Alright, so the lights came on. It's a good sign. let's go ahead and plug in my microphone again and try it out. Here's our switches. They already look better because our fan of power is off. And then we turn it on. There we go. And the light comes on. And then we turn it off. So there's that. We got the high pass filter right there. So that's the light comes on. The light goes off. That's much better. I am wiggling, and it's not cutting out at all. All right. Let's wiggle this one. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Let's wiggle the fan of power. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Check, 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 and we're all good. Let's turn the fan of power on. Wiggle it while it's depressed. That means pushed down in fancy talk. Okay. So far, so good. I don't hear any noise. There was a little click when I pushed the button, but that's to be expected. Let's hit it again. Okay, good. Let's do the high pass. And now it's pushed down. And we're wiggling. We're wiggling. I don't hear any noise. It's not cutting in and out. All right, push it again. And we're wiggling. And we're wiggling. We're wiggling. And it's not cutting out at all. And we'll go to the processor bypass thing and we'll smash it and push it down and wiggle and wiggle and wiggle. Now it does sound a little bit different. I think, because I bypassed some kind of circuit. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Still good. Let's push it again. And now it's not bypassed. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And it seems to be good. So, yeah, I think that's got it fixed. I don't think I have to, because I was flexing the little solder connections by wiggling the switch itself. So I don't think I'm going to need to resolder anything. All right, cool. Well, that's cleaning switches. Thank you very much for watching.